Mr. Mnisi, do you still want to address the court?
Definitely, my lords. Because this case is not about me, it's about the accused. It's about Mr. Sibia and Mr. Nube.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you, my lord. I'm just wondering if Mr. Sibia could be seated down whilst we are
Yes, sir.
attending the case.
Uyakhona ukuhlala phansi.
I would like to stand, my lord.
Thank you, my lord.
Okay. Yes.
My lord, this mine will not be a very lengthy thing. It will actually be a 4 or 5 minute thing. Now, what the state is requesting this court to do is what is known as austerity of tabulated legalism, which on its own is unconstitutional and against the principles of the law. Now, this is fundamentally legally flawed and incorrect. And the reason why I'm saying that, simply because the state is basing their request on their misapprehension of the legal principles that are applicable in this area of this law. Now, which law are we talking about? We're talking about the executive statement in matters such as of this nature, a criminal case. Now, the common law is very specific with regard to the usage of executive statements in criminal matters. They are admissible based on common law, but however, there needs to be a determination. Now, the reason why I am saying, I'm sorry. Now, the reason why I'm saying, my lord, that the state's request is based on their misapprehension of the applicable principles of the law in this area of the law. It's simply because of what they are saying in their heads of argument. And I will simply refer to what they are saying in their heads of argument. In their application for in their response to the 174 application that was brought by or on behalf of Mr. Mapisa. And this is what the state says in paragraph 23 of their heads of argument, page 28, paragraph 23. It says, amongst others, that it is therefore submitted that the two confessions of accused number 2 can be classified as executive statements in the furtherance of common purpose and therefore an exception to the exclusion of an out-of-court statement of an accused. They are basically saying that the statements that were made by Mr. Ntanzi are confessions. That is what they are alluding to. Now...
Sorry, you're saying Mr. Ntanzi is accused number 4?
I'm sorry, my lord. The accused number 2, yes.
Oh,
Accused number 2 is known for court, that is Mr. Ntanzi.
Okay, fine.
That is
Accused number 2, fine.
Yes.
They're basically saying the statements by accused number 2 are confessions.
That is what they are alleging, yes.
Okay, fine.
Yes. Now, but in the same line, they are saying that they should be treated as executive statements. Now, that is exactly what I'm saying, why I'm saying that their request is based on a misapprehension of the legal principles that are applicable in this area of the law. Because a confession can never be an executive statement, and an executive statement can never be a confession. It cannot be the best of both. Now, when I'm speaking of best of both, I remember Albany bread. It's got this very delicious bread, which is known as best of both. But this can't be a best of both. It is either a confession or an executive statement. The law is very specific, my lord. Actually, this position, and the state referred the court to that specific case. It's very succinct. That case of Mhlongo and Nkosi versus the state from the Constitutional Court, that was decided on 25 June 2015. And immediately subsequent to that, a similar situation also arose, which necessitated the very same Constitutional Court to revisit this matter in the matter of Kanye and another versus the state in 2017. And the full citation of that case is 2017, Volume 2, SACR 630, Constitutional Court. A decision that was delivered on the 10th of August 2017 in the matter of Kanye and another versus the state. Simply the court in this regard said the situation with regard to executive statement is very clear. It cannot be confused with any other thing. It is determined by what the common law says. And common law says executive statements, yes, they can be admissible against other accused. But there must be a classification of the document that is sought to be used. Now, what is it that is before court that the state says they want to cross-examine Mr. Sibiya on? These are the documents that they are saying. These are the statements that the state is saying are confessions that were made by Mr. Ntanzi. I've already referred to a passage from their heads of argument in the 174 application where they are saying that these are confessions. Now, the law with regards to the admissibility of confessions in respect of another person is governed by Section 219 of the Criminal Procedure Act. And the position is very clear. A confession cannot be used against another accused person. The law is very clear. Now, what the state seeks to do here is to conflate issues, this to muddy the water, which is why I am saying that they are requesting this court to embark on what is known as an austerity of tabulated legalism, something very unconstitutional. Now, it is important, my lord, to classify the nature of that statement, whether it's an admission, whether it's a confession, whether it's an executive statement. Now, as I'm saying, the state, they are already saying in their own argument that these are confessions. However, they can be classified as executive statement. That is blatantly wrong. You can't, because the legal principles that are governing these two sets of statements are totally different. Confessions are governed by Section 219. Finish. You cannot take this position beyond that. If it's an executive statement, yes, then you can take the issue further. And then what this court needs to do, my lord, is to determine what is it that the documents that the state intends to use in the cross-examination of Mr. Ntanzi, which document, well, in the broader context of the case, I said were made by, which statement were made by Mr. Ntanzi. Are those confessions or executive statements? These questions need to be answered well in advance, even before the state embarks on the process of cross-examining Mr. Sbiya based on the content of those statements. Now, what is a confession? A confession is an unequivocal declaration of guilt. In other words, where the deponent of that document that constitutes a confession says, I am all yours, my lord. You can look at me, but on the basis of this document, you may as well say to me, I am guilty. That is a confession, unequivocal declaration of guilt. Section 209 is also applicable here because it says an accused person will be found guilty solely on the basis of his own confession. What is the content of the two documents that were penned by, that allegedly were penned by Mr. Ntanzi, my lord? And this submission, my lord, must not be construed to mean to validate the contestable statements that are still an issue before court here. I am simply referring to them because of this interlocutory application that has been brought by the state. As I'm saying, I am in no way trying to validate any contestable statements. I'm simply trying to deal with the substantive issues as they relate to executive statements and confessions and all issues around them. Now, it is uncontestable that in the two statements that Mr. Ntanzi penned, that accused number 2, Mr. Ntanzi, of course, penned, or allegedly made before Mr. Before Mr. Rapadu and the magistrate, Mefro Vivian Krunje. What are they? Are they executive statements or are they confessions? They are before court. Can it be said that on the face of those documents, Mr. Ntanzi can summarily be found guilty? Or can it be said that there are issues that still need to be ventilated around those documents? Now, what is a confession? I still remember when I was a prosecutor, we used to refer the court to this case of State versus Towa. I've tried to look for it, I couldn't find it. Towa. And there's this other case here.
How can you not find it? Sorry, how can you not find it?
Excuse me, my lord.
How can you not find that case, that authority?
I think I was let down by my system. I remember using an old-fashioned system.
Okay.
Yes, but State versus Goa, it seeks to differentiate between or what a confession is. But again, there is this case of Likwareni. I think it's a matter from the Witwatersrand local division. North Gauteng, we used to call it WLD, my lord. I think that's where you started your practice, my lord, as a judge. At
Me?
the Witwatersrand, yes.
I know.
Thank
I
you.
started somewhere else.
Thank you, my lord. This Likwareni case, I think it's State versus Likwareni and others, in bracket SS073 of 2015. In the
Who's
other
the judge,
brackets,
by the way?
Excuse me, my lord.
The judge there.
That was Judge Spilch.
Yeah, he's next door. Spilch.
Yes, Spilch J, my lord. Yes.
Hello? Yeah. Now he's sitting here sometimes.
Thank you, my lord. Now, to some extent, it sought to try and demonstrate what a confession is, but in the broader context of what a confession is, or an approach in determining whether a statement constitutes a confession, they are saying an objective approach must be used. you don't look at one thing and then make a value judgment based on it. In other words, the entirety of the document must be considered. Now, back to the main question. These statements that allegedly were made by Mr. Ntanzi, what do they constitute? Do they constitute confessions or do they constitute executive statements? I may submit, my lord, without any fear of contradiction or of appraisal, that prima facie, those documents, and I've said I'm not validating anything, but the content of those documents prima facie constitute a confession. And if it is a confession, the story ends there, because they cannot be executive statements. They can therefore not be used against the other accused persons, my lord, because their position is governed by section 219 that says a confession by one person cannot be used against the other person. Then the state's application on those bases stands to fall off.
Okay.
Now, I've said, my lord, that I will not be long. I would therefore submit that on the state's own concession in their heads of argument that these are confessions, actually it should have actually ended there, because you cannot have a confession and an executive statement in the same line. No, either it's an executive statement or it's a confession. That will be my submission, my lord. Thank you.
Okay, thanks.